What else has changed with update 25? Welcome to part 2 featuring 17 changes. Get ready! Hello everyone! Welcome back to another Fallout 76 video. The second part of my patch 25 overview is going to feature 17 major and minor changes that you may have missed so far. If you didn't watch part 1, here's the link in case you want to check it out. Now, let me inform you that this video suffered a major issue. The saves got corrupted somehow. All the segments got transformed into a pixel bar like this. Some sort of rare bug, and I had to manually repair everything to the normal size and proportion. The sound was also off, everything sounded quite muffled, which forced me to voice over the finished video and then adjust each segment. Not ideal at all. If you spot something a bit off, I'm sorry. That's the best I could do given the circumstances. I'm actually glad I didn't lose all the edits in progress, which took me dozens of hours to do. That's also why this video didn't come out yesterday. I had a long session with Filmora's support and then I have been busy fixing everything on my own. Anyway, with that being said, let's proceed into more changes. The minigun shredder and bash damage have been impressing a lot of players since update 25 went live. Now, don't get me wrong, before this patch the damage was already great, nothing has changed in that regard. However, with the weapon durability fix, miniguns no longer break almost instantly when you actively use the shredder mod, as it used to happen before. Which means this mod is now good to go as a melee weapon, no joke. Just look at that damage! Now, you can simply bash enemies with a minigun, which does a fair amount of damage and can cripple enemies as well, but without the legendary effect to boost your bash damage, I don't think this is worth the trouble. However, if you click to shoot your minigun, it will start spinning and you can deal insane amounts of damage with this gun as a melee weapon. You don't even need to use any ammo, it's free of ammo. It's basically a melee weapon in the shape of a gun. You charge, you get close to the enemies, and you shred them. That's how it works. You can kill any enemy, apart from bosses, in the blink of an eye. It's really good. Just look at these poor super mutants, for example. They never stood a chance. I even tested on a level 100 Deathclaw, assuming I would get killed, but nope, I managed to kill it so fast the beast didn't even have a chance to fight back. Very impressive. And my minigun here is just a bloodied one, no bash damage, no anti-armor, no two-shot, which is what seems to work the best with the shredder mod. You can also cripple enemies this way, just to make it clear. Now, as someone pointed out on Reddit, most perks don't affect the shredder mod, so heavy guns, melee and bloody mess, for example, don't seem to affect it. However, the basher, tenderizer, stabilized and exterminator perks do seem to work with the shredder mod. This post is very informative, by the way. It also includes a damage chart for different legendary effects. I'm leaving the link below the video in case you want to check it out. Now, let's proceed. Well, I saw this intriguing point about how Irradiated Thistle is now working as intended. This rare flower has been bugged for a very long time, and I couldn't miss my chance to test it out. So I went ahead and launched a nuke at the Toxic Valley, which is where Thistle can spawn, and proceeded to gather this beautiful flora to understand if they give you the respective fluorescent flux or not. To my surprise, the first gather attempt was an empty one. I got nothing at all. I didn't want to assume the worst just yet, so I kept going, and the second gather was also not successful, as you can see. That's when I thought, maybe I'm bugged and no plants here will give me any flux. So I started gathering all sorts of flora around me, and well, they did work. I was gathering raw flux from them. I decided to do one last test to find and gather more Irradiated Thistle, and then on the third attempt I finally gathered raw fluorescent flux. Somehow it started working. What is this supposed to mean, you may ask? Well, it either means thistles are still very buggy and they don't always give you flux when nuked, or certain thistle spawns are totally bugged and will never give you flux no matter what you do. I think it's one or the other, but either way this fix is not accurate. Things improved a little bit, that's true, but as shown, things are still far from being fixed. There's still some work to be done here. Alright, the next point is a huge mystery to me. I'm not sure what Bethesda means with fixing enemies spawning in groups at an incorrect location, because enemies are still spawning in groups, for example at the Scorched Earth or Line in the Sand events. It's the same as before, exactly the same. Plus, enemies are still spawning inside walls. That happens quite often during daily ops. I even have some screenshots at hand as proof. Anyway, there is something new reported by a few players already. At the Radiation Rumble event, to be more precise, enemies still spawn in groups or clusters there, but now they can also spawn inside the walls and or behind objects, just like shown in the footage. I know it's a bit bold to say this, but I don't think Bethesda managed to fix anything regarding this point, unless they are referring to something else, but I highly doubt it. I mean, the patch note is quite clear, and we do have an issue with enemies spawning in clusters. That's not intended at all, and since nothing got better here, only worse, my assumption is that this point is not true. It's not yet fixed. Did you notice that Radworms got changed? Yep, this disease no longer works as before. With Update 25, Bethesda disabled all environmental radiation sources to pair with Radworms. Now you only take 50% more radiation damage from drinking and or eating, which is quite silly and makes absolutely no sense in my view. I tested shortly and now you can receive up to 15 radiation from drinking dirty water, while radiation barrels only give you 7 rads per second as I tested here. Well, okay then. I guess they went ahead with this change to make things a little bit softer and lighter on new players, since radiation is hardly an issue in endgame, but still, it defies all logic. Taking double the radiation from water that is not even toxic, while compared with a barrel filled with toxic waste. Sure. Anyway, let's keep moving. Another significant change happened to power armor in a certain mod for the legs. The explosive vents got reworked. First of all, they are now called cooling vents. It suffered a small name change there. And secondly, it now slows the fusion core drain by 5%. You can use this mod on both legs, which means you can stack a 10% slower fusion core drain if you wish. If you often run out of fusion cores, then this might be a helping hand for you. Anyhow, I decided to test to understand if this mod is really working or not, and apparently everything is in order. It's not like the 10% slower drainage provides a huge difference, but it is noticeable after a while. I decided to just walk and jump around for some minutes to drain my core on purpose. Now in the first test I had no cooling vent mods, and as you can see my fusion core bar went down a little bit further than the second test, where I had the cooling vents on both legs, enabling the 10% slower drainage. As a result, my fusion core didn't get as drained. So yes, this one is working, and that's a beautiful thing. The next point is a minor change, but a meaningful one for those who love the Camo Hazmazsuit at least. Just like the Emmet Hazmazsuit, the repair options were not there. Yeah, in the past we had the same exact issue. I'm not sure why they keep adding new suits without the repair options. The Emmet suit, for example, got added with the Wastelanders DLC, and then some patches later Bethesda added the repair options. The same happened just now. The Camo Hazmazsuit got introduced with the Still Dawn DLC, and only now they enabled the repair options. Well, at least now it's safe to use this item as much as you want, because if it breaks, it's no longer a problem. You can either fix it with a repair kit or manually through a workbench. Another change I noticed applies to the Brotherhood Scout Tower. You can now add stairs to the entrance, but not all types. The concrete and wood ones are excluded. You can only add the thinner versions, such as the shelter and Nuka color stairs. But there is a huge but in here. Once you attach the stairs, there is no going back. You are not able to remove them, at least on my end. To do so, I must scrap my entire tower and then replace it again. Well, thankfully I tested this for you. I hope it can prevent you from experiencing the same hassle. I surely wouldn't have added the stairs if I was aware of this beforehand. I would have tested in a workshop, but oh well, it is what it is, and it's definitely a great addition in my view. Let's just hope they manage to fix this small issue with the upcoming patches. Alright, with Update 24, most characters were affected by a bug where the Flamingo and the wood desk plans were simply unlearned, as if your character has never learned such common plans. Some players were concerned this bug might end up extending to other plans, including rare ones, and that would be a nightmare, mostly because this bug forces you to acquire and learn the plan again, just like we had to do for these two. Thankfully, Bethesda addressed the issue rather quickly, and they stated that this bug is now fixed. There is no real way for me to test or verify if this point is true though, so let's rely on their good faith and hope for the best, shall we? This next point includes dozens of fixes. It would be insane and close to impossible to test every single one of them, but still, I didn't want to leave it out. First because this is a huge part of Update 25, and secondly because it means Bethesda is actively trying to improve the game, especially when it comes to the latest additions, which normally contains more issues than pre-existing content. Update 25 introduced dozens of fixes to still done NPCs and quests, as well as several Fasnacht improvements. Most of them are rather minor fixes, but still, altogether they are important to improve the player experience. So let's all hope they keep releasing such type of fixes with the upcoming patches. One of the main sections of the Update 25 notes was about performance and stability. Bethesda fixed several issues that could cause game crashes and even server crashes. But truth be told, server stability has never been as bad as it has been in the past 2 weeks. We had several service interruptions where servers went down for short periods and generated all sorts of strange errors, some which ended up confusing players by making them think the problem was on their end when it wasn't. I went over this in great detail in one of my recent news, so feel free to check it out if you want to know what's going on in every single aspect. Anyway, I'm not trying to say Bethesda didn't do any of these points regarding performance and stability. They probably did. However, they need to do a lot more if they want to keep things balanced. It's not like servers will fix themselves or some sort of divine act or magic will solve all these recent issues. I hope Update 26 will bring a lot more points under this category for the sake of everyone. Have you noticed something different in your inventory apart from the new tabs and weight stack? Well, I surely did. I just wasn't sure what it was until I read this point. The Pipboy no longer cuts long names from your screen. Instead, it adds 3 dots to indicate there's more to that name than it's showing. You still have to inspect the items to fully read the complete names, but I think this change is visually great. It's also something you probably didn't notice. It's not so evident without reading the entire patch notes, so there you go. Okay, Bethesda also added dozens of cosmetic fixes with Update 25, and I'm about to show you the main ones. For the Deep Cave Hunter backpack skin, for example, they removed the huge gap that was there between the backpack and the player's back. It kinda looked weird, it was kinda floating. Now the skin is adjusting to the player's back and it looks pretty natural. The Feral Ghoul and the Cuddles clown masks also received the fix. Before the patch, the Pipboy light was quite low. Now the light is back to normal as shown. I don't have the Feral Ghoul mask, so I can't test that one. Lastly, I also inspected the Plague Doctor's mask to quickly understand Bethesda did not fix it. They claim the mask now states it prevents airborne diseases, but my mask still says nothing. Nothing at all. I even crafted a new one, and still nothing. There is no indication still, so I guess they forgot to enable this one. For the last points, I have some minor changes for the Brotherhood gear. Let's start with the Recon armor, where the Brawler mods were not working before the update. I did a quick test and added the Brawler mod to my arm, and as shown, the gauntlet damage went up after applying this mod, which suggests this bug is now fixed. Great news for unarmed builds, for sure. Now, another change is related to the Recon chest model. Before update 25, the chest was a bit large, as in really big for some characters, and that's because the model wasn't adjusting to the player's body. In some parts, that was really evident in my view, like the neck or the armpits part. It was way too large for my character. Here's a screenshot from update 24 on my character, and you can clearly see the difference. Now the chest is adjusting properly, so it has been fixed too. The Recon helmet also had a small issue with the Pipboy light. It used to project light behind the character. That problem is no more as shown. The light is now projected as intended. Still, the Brotherhood Special Ops mask, for example, is still being affected by this nasty problem. Lastly, the Crusader pistol got a minor fix as well. The reflex sign was a bit detached from the pistol itself, as in it was floating slightly. Now it's totally attached visually. There are no more gaps, so that's also a check. As usual, there are lots of changes that go unnoticed with every new patch. I believe there are many more, which are not even part of the patch notes. I've been reading your latest comments, and some reports are intriguing, which naturally needs to be tested before I can publicly present them to you. Anyway, that was the second part of my Update 25 patch overview. I hope you enjoyed. I ended up covering more than 27 changes, but that's totally okay. I'm sure you didn't mind one or two more. Well, I hope you could learn something new with this video as well. And as usual, thank you all for watching. I am Marta Branco. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't yet. A special thanks to all my supporters as well. And I will see you all very soon in the next one. Until then, take care. Adios. Bye bye.